Hey everyone, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Lo, and welcome to another episode of Try Saying That Out Loud, a podcast where we talk about weird, hilarious, and only sometimes consequential things.
It's our lives and our truths, unscripted and uncensored.
Sorry, kids. Hi.
Hi. Happy
Happy home.
almost.
I know. Well, and people are going to listen to this and be like, oh, it's New Year. So we can't be like, how was Christmas?
Right, right.
I mean, I guess we
But
can. So.
how was Christmas?
I mean, it was a day. It
It
was
was
just,
that's it was a day.
it was a
That's exactly
day.
how I feel.
The weather outside is weather. Like that's kind
Yep.
of how I felt about we didn't do anything. We did quarantine and see Alex's parents for a dinner on Christmas Day.
Oh, that's
Um
nice.
and I made the most delicious beet salad.
Oh, I
Oh
thought you were going to say something actually good.
my God. So you're not a beet person. Is it the
I am not
texture?
a be It's all of it. It's all of
Oh,
it.
really? Because if you have a really good beet, I don't know what made me warm up to them. Who knows? But I have never made them before. And I just did like
I didn't
roast.
know there was a thing that I didn't know you made beets. I thought
Well,
they
some
just
people boil them. Some people like the treatment of them varies. So I just did like a roast. It was like a roasted. I mean, guess where the episode. Guess where the recipe came from? Goop, obviously.
Oh, obviously.
I'm just such a gooper, but it was so fucking delicious.
No. I have a friend that really loves them. Also, we were out at a restaurant and she ordered a beet salad and I was like,
So normally it was like a beet caprese, so it was like large beets.
"Oh yeah."
Normally I'm like, okay, I'll have beet. I used to warm up to beets where it's like I'll have it in my salad, but like mostly other things. Like I'll just have a
Right.
little bit of beet. But I was like very, very bought in to this beet situation with the
Interesting.
salad.
My mom is a beet person, so if you send me the recipe,
It's
maybe she
super
will
easy.
be
Yeah, it's like you roast the beets and it's like basil. I'll send you the recipe. We did
okay.
almonds, but my mother-in-law made a good point that like pistachios would have been really good. And if
Oh
you have
yeah,
like a
I do like
chunky
that.
salt and like you like whipped up like a quick salad dressing and it was delish.
Well, I'm really excited for you when
How
I
was
come
your
out
Christmas though? What'd you do? That was my highlight, the beet fucking salad.
Well, we did not a lot. We FaceTimed with my parents Christmas Eve at my house. Like my parents in Detroit that's the night is Christmas Eve. It's like a German thing, I guess. And most everyone else is Christmas Day. So obviously Ben is Christmas Day. So we FaceTime with my parents on Christmas Eve.
Nice. You guys
FaceTime with
don't have to like argue about the days.
Right. Well, generally speaking, we can't see them both because they're in
True.
wildly different states. But yeah, for this scenario, it was, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. We ordered Chinese, like the non-Jewish people we are, for Christmas Day. Yeah. Oh, this wasn't Christmas,
Tell me
but I
everything.
learned how to make sourdough bread. I'm
Oh,
like
Richard.
I'm like levels
Richard.
behind in the quarantine, stages. That was like stage two, stage 1.5 was everyone learning how to make sourdough bread.
The
So I'm really
panic.
behind.
I had a
Right.
neighbor at my old house in San Francisco. A neighbor, like we saw them just outside, and they were like, if you need yeast, all the grocery stores are out." And I was like, I didn't understand. I was like, yeast is out, like what? And then I realized the sourdough craze had
Right.
happened, and so it was a very, very funny period of the pandemic when my neighbor
Well,
offered me
so
yeast.
so obviously the reason it interests me is I can't have regular baker's yeast, which is like in almost all breads. The only thing it's not in is anything made with a sourdough starter. So that's why I can have it. And I've obviously grown an appreciation for sourdough that I didn't used to have. So now it took me probably 10 days to really figure it out because you have to literally grow a starter. It needs to be fed like an infant and the house temperature has to be exactly right and you have to make sure that it's like the most active it's a whole fucking thing.
It was a small child,
It was a small
Richard.
child. Yeah, Richard the
Good
Dick.
old Dick. Good old Dick.
So but I was when I got it, I was like, all right, I got to make this loaf and then we'll see how it turns out. And it surprised me how well it turned out. I was shocked. I was like,
He looked delicious.
he was very good. And he was starting to get a little bit crusty. And so we cut him up and now he's in the freezer. Now he's going to be toast.
So yum though. So what would
Yeah.
your, as a first time sourdough maker,
Yeah.
what are someone is going to do that for the first time? What is the one thing you learned that you wish you would have known before going in?
Well, this isn't something I wish I would have known because I did know it. But buy your starter. Don't pretend like don't. I bought it from King Arthur, and then you just have to like feed it and like get it ready. Don't like if you make your starter from scratch,
Oh,
like
people do like okay, so it's already what you bought was already kind of fermented
right to some extent, and
to
then you
some
just have
extent,
to
and
like
then you just
right,
supplement.
right. If you are doing it from scratch, it's like an additional 2 weeks to like make a starter, and then you do the whole bread process. So definitely like there's no shame in buying a starter. There are like people online that also sell portions of like their old starters, like the
Right, that they
recipe that I
made.
ended
Yeah.
right, the recipe that I used, she like wrote that she sells portions of her 13-year-old starter online.
It
Right.
lasts that long. I guess that makes sense.
Like, yeah, it
Fermentation,
can.
that's like the method of preservation. Like that's like the
Yeah.
method. Wow.
So actually my number one thing would be like, so it seems very unforgiving, the whole process. Like you have to use like X amount of time, X temperature, like it sort of is, but like don't stress because the whole time I was like, this is going to turn out like garbage because I didn't do X, Y, and Z. And it wasn't this time and that time and this temperature. And it turned out great. So like
Don't
it seemed
sweat like those level details.
right. Like the book that I was trying to use was like it was supposed to be for beginners and it kind of was in the sense that it like really explained the whole process, but it was information I just like didn't need at this point. It was like water at 81.5 degrees, not an exaggeration. And I was like, I can't be bothered to do this right now. Like I'm not, putting this in a contest.
Hard no.
So I would find a recipe that really focuses on like cutting out the bullshit because there
Big
are some that are
picture, which is
right, big
yeah,
picture.
there we go.
Yeah,
That's what
big
Lauren
picture.
is.
And use a food scale. Don't use like some people, live and die by like the cup, the
No
teaspoon,
ounces,
whatever.
right? I feel like I learned that. I have a friend
Well,
who
grams, like they actually
right.
all sourdough is like done in the
Yeah.
metric
No,
system.
but I
So
learned
it's
that.
like
I was baking with a friend who grew up in the UK. She's British, and they live and die by like her little scale, and that's how she bakes. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting because like I just like kind of fuck it, just do whatever.
right.
But the accuracy of that is amazing.
Right. So like they'll say, you need 300 grams of water and like they'll sometimes put in parentheses like this means this many cups, but like it's not accurate. Like if
Right?
they say
No.
like you're so much better off using the scale,
Yeah. Little
especially if you're
scales.
worried about ratios. So
There we
it was a
go.
process.
That's
If
fun.
this loaf wouldn't have turned out as well as it did, I probably would never try again. That's where I was at. I was so frustrated. But to the point where it came out and when it was perfect, I'm not exaggerating. I almost cried. I had like tears welling up because I was like so overwhelmed that it like turned out well after
Your
10
home birth.
days.
Your home birth was.
It was a home birth. It
so
was something.
satisfying. You're like Kourtney fucking Kardashian, just
Yeah.
popping out your sourdough loaves.
Sourdough babies. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
I did have a cute, actually, now that you ask about Christmas. So Alex and I didn't exchange gifts this year. We've started to kind of like low key. He's like the worst to give for. Like I love to give gifts and he hates receiving
right.
gifts because he cannot help himself. He will open a gift and no matter if it can be from literally anyone, he'll be like, oh, he'll like say something like, oh, I have this. Or like, he like cannot help himself. He's the worst person. So not only does he like just buy everything he wants, like if he wants something,
right,
he doesn't hesitate, but he is kind of an asshole, right? Like, so he's just not fun.
Does he always have the thing?
No, I just think he like one, for example, I got him for his birthday. It was a stupid gift, but one of those, it's like a ceramic mug that comes with a heater.
Oh, like Ember.
It was like an Ember, but like a different version of it.
Yeah. Yes, okay.
But same idea. And he was like, oh, this is cool. I just don't think I'll use it. How fucking annoying. I'm like, okay, so that's the last time. So this is all to say that Alex's parents' tradition with each other is just to do a bunch of stocking stuffers. And you can make them good. You could put like gift cards and shit in there.
Right.
So that's what we've been doing the last couple of years. But this year we were like, new house, neither of us needs, like we just let's buy furniture maybe instead of Christmas.
That's a really good idea.
So but I think I stole the idea from you, and then I read about it. It's like that Finnish tradition of Christmas Eve.
It's really cool.
Books. And I became enamored with this idea. So knowing that we were seeing his parents, I was like, we'll do it. It was like 4 of us. Like, let's just do it white elephant way. And like we'll each
that's cute.
Each buy 2 books and like pick and choose. And we did it white elephant. Anyway, so I had mentioned to Alex offhand, like probably a month ago, I was somehow drawn to like my childhood reading habits. And I was like, well, how did I get into reading? Like what kind of started it for me?
Right.
And I'm a horse girl, self-proclaimed, like grew up with a horse. Like
It is like a really interesting fact about you.
I swear I wasn't weird. I was like a very normal, but I have
right. I have a really hard time imagining you.
I wasn't
being,
like fairy princess. I don't know. Like I feel like some of those girls.
There's
are so
some weird. Sorry to offend anyone that was a weird horse girl, but like
I was not a weird one. So let me tell you, I had this because I feel like most horse girls didn't actually have a horse. Like I went every day, like I had a horse.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, a lot of horse girls don't, or at least my mentality is they're just like obsessed with the idea and like want one. Anyway,
do they ride or are they just
I think
obsessed?
they ride. I think the girls I'm thinking of, yes, they would like go take lessons or whatever. So I had this series when I was a kid. I was probably 8. I feel like we've backtracked now. Alex and I were trying to figure out how old I was, or my mom and I, when I was reading them. But I have vivid memories of going to the libraries, and they had a series. So like you would want to do them in order.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I would have vivid memories of like going to one library, they didn't have the ones I wanted, and then like having to go to another library, and my mom would cart me around, and I would get like 5 at a time, and I would just fly through them. And I read so much, and that like literally I like escaped into that was even before like the Harry Potter situation for me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was like I was in those fucking stories. And Alex got me the full set with like the special editions, and I ugly cried. And his excuse was, he was like, well, you said we were doing a book exchange. Like it was the book exchange, but like, you know, and I was like, we weren't doing gifts. And
how did he even find it?
It was like eBay. And he's like, it's really fucking hard to find because there are like 72 of them. And then there were a few special editions. And he's like,
he gave you 72 books.
Well, I mean, they're like this big.
Right. But still, that's a fuck ton.
I know. Cause I was like, in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, if I ever have like, especially a daughter, you know, like she can, or my niece can read these books. And I was like, books.
And how fun is that tradition? I really love it.
I'm obsessed with it. So thank you for letting me copy you. I like
I copied the Finnish or the Icelandic people. So
whoever the fuck it was. But honestly, and then I was so excited after we book exchange that I was like, oh my God, do we all just want to sit and read all day? And they were like, no, we're not like you.
No, well, so we did it like when we did it the first time, we did it at night, and it was like, so you have your drink and your chocolate and your book, and like you sit and read. Like that was like,
that's what I wish we would do. Maybe I'll be able to do that next year. But
anyway, what books did you buy?
So I got for the exchange, I got The Prettiest Star.
Oh, what a good one.
And then I did This Changes Everything, right? Is that what
I don't know.
It's about climate change.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. So I got that, and I also bought that for myself because I knew that was kind of more, you know, when you're like gift giving and you like know who that's going to go to. You're like, that's going to that household. And then I got a book called This Is Your Brain on Food, which is like very me.
I feel like I've heard of that.
Right. And then I think Alex got a book. Oh, and then Deacon King, James.
Deacon King Kong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Deacon King Kong, which I've been wanting to read. And
I really want to read that.
Alex got me. Yeah.
Does Alex read?
Nay.
Like, will he read the book that he got?
Nay.
Oh, okay.
So like
it's just a nice thought. Yeah. Okay. I got my mother-in-law The Vanishing Half. I sent her a bunch of like screenshots of like books that I really liked from the year and was like, have you read any of these? And she hadn't. So I just picked one of those just to make sure. And then my brother-in-law got Ben. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like about the history of Pappy Van Winkle and like the bourbon.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. But Van Winkle's like a very expensive, nice bourbon, isn't it?
Correct. And so it's like the history of like, there's like a bunch of different variations of it. And like, so it's very interesting to Ben. Like, I don't give a fuck about it, but like, it was good. Right. And then, so Ben had me, we knew for the most part who each other had just because like, there's only 5 of us.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you want my list? Like, are you going to look at my book cart? Are you going to look in the cabinets? Like,
You're like,
what are you going to do?
Help me help you.
Right. I was like, so he bought a book, and he told me the only clue that he gave me was like, I bought it under protest. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. So he bought me the Ruth Bader Ginsburg autobiography, which of course I already had, but like, that was what he bought. It was really sweet. So now he's like, I was like, now do you want my list? Cause we're sending it back and he's going to get something else.
Is it My Own Words? That's the one you got?
Yeah.
It's a good one.
And so I was like, now do you want my list? And he was like, you can send it to me, but I'm probably not going to use it. And I was like, okay, cool.
Okay,
Glad,
well,
glad we learned.
glad your pride is too much then.
Well, I mean, like the book cart is in our kitchen, basically. Like he could just scan it and see. Like he
Right. At
could.
least check that it wasn't what he was going to buy wasn't there.
Right. But no,
That's so
of course
funny.
not. But yeah,
Well,
so
stubborn men.
that's where we
That's
did.
fun. That's
Yeah.
fun.
So did you have a try saying that out loud moment in the last month or so?
It was hard for me to think of one, honestly. I had to like kind of take a breath. And this, you're gonna laugh because what I'm about to say, it hasn't even been that long, but I've been in the middle of what I call my news cleanse
Which is
and not knowing what the fuck is going on in the world.
okay.
Like I have not, I think since like kind of like the holidays start like last week, like I have
That's
not
when you
watched,
start.
right, I have not watched a spot, not even CNN accidentally, like literally watched nothing. And I don't know that this is like a try saying that out loud moment, but I think obviously I want to be up to like I want to be an educated member of
Person.
society and I want to know what the hell is going on.
Right.
But honestly, I'm living my best life, like not knowing what's happening. And
Obviously.
I'm like, oh God, like what does this say about me that I can't, that I feel so
Like you can,
okay?
right?
Like I'm good. I don't really care about the news.
Well,
And like,
obviously, here's the thing. The reason you feel like that is because Trump is going to be not the president in 2 weeks. Like that. I mean, there's just no way around that. If Trump had run one re-election, I don't think you would have been able to like news cleanse yourself.
probably, but I don't know. Maybe like, because the other side of that is, well, like, if Trump was going to be president again, it's just more fucking bad news. And so, what a better
Yeah,
time
I
to just like
guess.
cleanse around the holidays and not worry about it. I think I started to get, I mean, the news fatigue in terms of like
Oh, for sure.
talking about COVID all the time. Like, it's like, it just felt like so much of the same that I was like, ah, why don't I just, and it just honestly kind of happened naturally. And then I had a moment last week where I was like, maybe I'll turn it on. I was like, why the fuck am I going to try? It's the same shit.
It's
Like
right, for sure.
like I'm not, and that's to say it wasn't a full news cleanse. I like subscribed to this woman's I'm on Substack way too often, but I subscribed to
You're
this
so
woman's,
San Francisco.
I subscribed to this woman's newsletter, and she has a history of like being a reporter. I don't know what her exact background is. I have to go check, but she will write. She has like a daily thing where sometimes she'll write about like what's going on in the world. So I would sometimes skim that, but like
Okay.
I think it was more the realization of like, wow, I don't like, for someone who's like prided themselves on, since I left my job, being pretty aware of what's going on.
Right.
Who cares? Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, and it's a really wonderful way to live your life, to be honest. So all these people that are like us that say they're not political and they like don't engage, I like, part of me is like, oh, well,
I now understand that.
like the US, like you have like there's no not being political. Like in some way you are.
Right.
Like whether or not you're
Not being political is being political.
Exactly. So I'm like, so I used to kind of have that mentality, but I think I understand what they mean by that. I think they just mean that they're just like not like they're just living their lives and like not really engaging in news and like what is going on in the world. And it's like not a healthy thing, I think, to enjoy so much. Like I don't love that. I love not knowing what's going on.
Well, it's not that it's unhealthy. It's just privileged, right? Like we have the ability to 100%. Not. Right. It's not. And
that's
not that
why it doesn't sit well. I'm like,
right. That's a great one. Like, and
it doesn't affect me at all. Like I'm good
at all. Right. Right. That's exactly what it is. No, but like to your point, like you sometimes do need a break. Like there's no way around. Like everyone needs a mental break from like the monotonousness of Twitter, of CNN, of everything that is just like throwing COVID, vaccines. When are things going to open again? What is shutting down again? Like,
yeah. Well,
all of that.
And I think for me, it's like what I've taken from it is like I've gotten like news about like Breonna Taylor's, like the cops in Breonna Taylor's case, like that's fucking fun. Like I'm getting that. Like there's a way for me, I think, in my learning from this last couple months or last month or so, is I can figure out a better way to get my news. where it's not the endless cycle of
Right.
CNN and like Twitter, and like there's a way for me to still continue to stay informed but not have it affect my psyche in unnecessarily harmful ways. Because
Right.
I am a believer, like to your point, like everyone needs a break. Like I'm not gonna help the world if I can't even fucking help myself. And if
Right.
I'm so exhausted and drained, it's like that's not gonna do anything for anyone. So I think the moments of taking a pause and just kind of living your life and like grounding yourself to the realities of like your day to day and like everything is fine. Like not only is that great for anxiety, but like it'll equip you to better evaluate, I think.
What's going on? For
Right.
sure.
What's
For sure.
going
I
on
mean,
and like
like
how you want to engage with it. Like there's a healthy way of engagement, and this is what this news cleanse has kind of taught me. And I need to figure out
100%.
what that is.
Well, the bottom line is, I mean, this is cliche, but like you can't fill from an empty cup. Like if you're drained of all of your energy because you're on a constant news cycle binge, like I was that way at the beginning of COVID. I was constantly just like refreshing what's
Doom
happening,
scrolling.
doom scrolling. Yes, basically. And Ben was like, you need to get the fuck off the internet. Like you're
Right.
not helping anybody by
Right.
just reading COVID statistics out loud. Like what are you doing?
I mean,
So
heat maps, like, okay. Like, what?
right. Right. Well, and I
Like to me,
sort
I'm
of
like, we
started
know
doing it
people are
again.
being, we know we people are being fucking idiots. I get it. People are
We're
being
all
dumb. We're
right.
not going to be out of this shit until 70% of the population's vaccinated. I get it. Like, I understand. Like, that's kind of where I also felt like I was like, it's doomsday. I know what the fuck's happening. Unless something massive changes, there's a
Right.
way. There's going to be a way I'm going to find out about that, though. That's what I've learned. Like, I don't need to
Right.
be constantly engaged in like the typical methods. Like, I'm gonna like I heard about Breonna Taylor like the second it happened, and like
Right.
like there's still ways. So I don't know. So that's what I'm gonna
Well,
find
like
out.
you're obviously connected to people that still are part of that. Like I'm sure Alex is reading about it every day. Ben reads it every day. So you know what I mean? Like it's like
Right.
you're still very much connected to people that are gonna just tell you what's
Right. Like it's
happening.
at a certain point it's unavoidable for me. But anyway, yeah, it's I one thing I did do that, and it brings me to a question that we can talk about, although I know you have your try saying that out loud moment. But I, no lie, for 10 minutes on Instagram on some like reel, watched a woman tend to her farm in Ojai. No
What is
music.
Ojai?
It's just a place in California. It's like a little, yeah, it's outside of LA, kind of like outside of
Okay.
Santa Barbara. And it's a kind of very, people call it like a hippie town. But it's
Oh.
like there's some wineries, but it's just like a farm. So this woman for 10 straight minutes, it might have been 8, but no music. It was a reel, and you could hear her walking on gravel, tending to her farm in the evening.
So it's like ASMR sort of.
Oh,
Like
I have never felt more relaxed in my entire life.
there's all sorts of videos online that are like where it's not intended to be sort of like anxiety reducing or ASMR that turn into that. Like I watched people mix paint.
Oh, you do?
Like
That's your thing?
like
Yeah.
not like in like I mean I've seen them in like the jars, but like where they're doing it on like a palette and you're like the knife is scraping back and forth because you're mixing the paint colors.
So good.
Like I mean I could watch it all day. There's definitely more than that, but like that is one that comes to mind right away where I just like they're like, "Oh, I'm going to color match this." And then for 5 minutes they're just like pulling paint colors and
It reminds me, we hardly watch like commercial TV, but those it's like Calm, the meditation app. Do you get the
uh-huh.
occasional reprieves where they do like the sound of rain? They're like,
Uh-huh.
enjoy this rain break. And I'm like, that is the best marketing. It's like those types of things where literally you could hear her walking on the gravel. You could hear her like the birds chirping. Like you could hear like, and she was just petting her cows and like and like talking to the chickens, and like she had her method, like bringing all the animals in. And I was just like, oh my God, if this was my life every day, like, can you imagine how zen of a human being I would be?
Does she like run this account and that's like the purpose of
No,
it, or
it
it
was
was
like
just like
Domino. It was like some other account that I follow of like this wellness thing. And they just did a spotlight on this woman. Like they followed her, like just tending to her fucking farm. And it was,
oh, that's wild. So now you can't follow her now because she doesn't like have her own account.
well, I mean, maybe she does. I haven't checked. I know I
You should
sent it to Alex,
investigate.
and I was like, I just literally sat for 10 minutes, and I was not even worried for 1 minute about like anything else. I was
Right?
like, I've got to make
Because
sure
you were
I
right. I
was
got to make sure she
so fucking in. I've got to make sure the chickens get in. It's a nighttime. There's going to be someone that comes after the chickens. Like, what's she going to do? feeding the barn cats, petting her like long-haired cows. I was like,
Cows are so smart.
and there was a big pig that like came with the goats. I was like, I'm gonna lose my mind. And I sent it to Alex and I was like, is this my dream life?
Yeah. I mean, you want a ton of land with like a farm-ish, right? A horse at least.
Yeah, a couple horses. I'd love some baby goats. They're destructive as fuck, but
they're so cute.
They are so much fun. At my horse's barn when I was little, there used to be goats, and the baby goats, we used to have so much fun with them. They were so fun. No, I would love, like, I don't think I'm going to be like, I'd love to have my own eggs, you know, like I'm not going to.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
You know, who knows? Like, I'm not going to like make my own cheese or like churn my own butter, but like, you know, I'm not going like that crazy. But
oh, you're not going to churn your own butter.
Butter churning bitches. Ready. Anyway, so the farm porn. So farm porn is my new thing. And
I gotta find you an account immediately.
If anyone has any farm porn, please send it.
Please. But like really just a person on a farm, not actual farm
right.
porn.
Like I don't need to see people having sex on a farm. Like that doesn't interest me. And nor do I need
just
to see
chickens walking around
having sex. I need the sound of someone walking on gravel, birds chirping, and animals like
being fed.
Yeah. It is.
That actually does sound really relaxing as long as
I'll find you this. I'll send it to you after this. I will send it and we'll watch it. You'll probably be like, Laurel, it was 5 minutes, not 10. But it literally felt like I meditated. Like it was so amazing.
Oh, that actually sounds great. I need to figure out like a good way to meditate. So like maybe I'll just start listening to farm noises.
Like, right. Because like, oh, I don't fucking know. There's something to it. Anyway, so what was did you have a try saying that out loud moment of this month? Yeah. Which now it's going to, we didn't mention this. Hello. But we're going to do 2 episodes a month now.
Oh yeah, surprise.
Welcome to 2021.
We are now doing 2 episodes a month. The first and third Wednesday of every month is our plan. We're trying to go all in as best we can. I mean, we don't know that you need to hear from us every week just yet, but 2 episodes a month. We're going to giving the people what they want.
Yeah, we're going to try it. And therefore, this try saying that out loud moment, it's going to be like a little bit more recent. It's going to be every couple weeks. It can't be a month anymore. It's just try saying that out loud moment in the last
of your life, right?
Yeah. Anyway, go.
So mine was more it's been like coming, like it didn't just happen in the last month. It's sort of been happening. But just the fact I've been on and off, but unemployed full time since April. Mid-April was when I got laid off from my job because of COVID. And then I've worked on a contract basis for a few months here and there in between, but I haven't, gone and done something and just taken the first job that I can get, to make money like almost everyone would have to do. Right. I've had the luxury of having a husband who makes enough that I like don't need to do that right away. Obviously I need to find a job, but that it's not so pressing on us that I have to.
You don't have to settle. Right. You don't have to settle.
Right. Yeah. So obviously the percentage of people that can do this, that, have the luxury of not settling for just like the first job that comes along is very small. And to know that I'm in that percentage is kind of like, obviously I'm extremely lucky, but it's also jarring because I'm like, I'm not taking, the first thing that comes along, or
you're still being choosy in an environment where most people can't be choosy.
Right. And I've asked Ben a few times if I can, there's like a couple of jobs that are just sort of available all the time for attorneys, document review type positions where I could still be at home and not like go out into the COVID world, and like certainly not making what I was making before, but like I feel like I'm helping the house and like being productive and, not being just like this failing member of society where I've been unemployed for 9 months. Cause like there was never a scenario when I got laid off that I would have assumed that, going into the new year that I would still be not employed full time. Like even though like I have this contract work that I'm doing, it's not the same as like you have a full-time job now and all these things are happening.
Yeah.
So yeah. And like, obviously also Ben has been extremely supportive about me not settling for something I'm going to hate because we can. Like, he's like, there's no reason for you to just take this job that you're going to hate to just look for another job.
Right.
Like, why are we doing that?
Don't sacrifice your happiness.
Right.
It's not worth it.
So it is like a jarring thing, especially when, you listen to podcasts. Like I've been listening to The Daily, and they talk about all these people that are struggling during COVID, and servers and bartenders and anyone else in like the service industry who like just like that's what they do. And they would have to completely switch careers to get another job. And like a lot of them have to.
Yeah.
So it's a jarring thing to like realize that I'm in
It's
this like
humbling. Yeah.
right.
You're like, okay.
Right. It's very humbling. And everyone's like, oh my God, how do you have all this time to read? How do you have all this time to, use your Bookstagram account or bullet journal? And I'm like, it's because I'm unemployed. Like, to be clear, if I was full-time employed as a lawyer, like my Bookstagram account would be seen like once a week, probably. Like
Totally.
that's just what it would be. And my bullet journal, like, would it exist? I have no idea. Like it didn't exist before I was unemployed. So like
Right.
it would be surprising if I still had the time to keep up with it. So people are like, oh, how do you have time to do all this? I'm like, because I'm not doing anything else. That's why. So
I know.
it
I do
just,
think it's interesting. And I mean, that's a really good one because yeah, I'm in a similar position where I don't need to do anything.
right,
Like I can just sit. I don't even need to go to school. I can just sit on my
right,
sweet ass and eat bonbons all day if I wanted to. And do not want to do that, obviously.
right,
But
right.
I think you bring up an interesting conundrum in terms of, and I guess it's COVID aside, but I think a lot of people have realized what's important in COVID, and I think it's like caused a shift in perspective in a lot of ways. And
100%.
I think we talked about last episode, how women have bear the brunt of like family care, and like if the
Yep.
woman is the one that's getting rid of their job, if the dad can't take it, like it's
100%.
disproportionately affecting women child's care, and it always has. But and not saying that that's like the ideal, but I think and I hope what people, and so when I left my job in 2018 I left it, I had such a hard time feeling like in myself I was a moocher, kind of like what you alluded to.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah.
I'm mooching off and I'm like not doing anything, and like I'm not contributing to society, and you say that. And I think what I struggle with the most is, and I'm hoping people are kind of changing their tune on it, is the value that our generation especially attributes to, like, our self-worth comes from what we do.
As like a career. Yeah.
Right. And what we do is who we are. And so I wrote a blog. I don't know when I wrote this. I mean, this was before I left my job, but I remember being like, in one of my past blogs, I was like, what is this? Like, I cannot socialize in Silicon Valley, because why, when someone meets me for the first time, are they shaking my hand and asking me what I do? Why are they not asking like, oh, what do you know? Who are you? What do you do for fun? Like what's getting you going? No, it's like prescriptive. Like if what you do is not impressive, like someone's not going to be impressed with you. And like
Oh
that
yeah.
pressure that you feel, and I'm sure you feel it on the coast as well. Like I feel like in tech especially, but in any.
Oh yeah. I'm sure San Francisco is a lot worse. Like that is like the place where if you're not starting a company, who are you?
And so I'm just,
So yeah.
I feel like over time, and I feel like eventually you'll get here too, like after like the COVID guilt goes away, like you start to realize like how much more there is to you than just what you did.
Right.
Right. Like I just feel like there's such a, and I feel like people in COVID are probably hopefully making this realization, but I just like the value system and how we derive so much of our self-worth from how we occupy our time, like in terms of our jobs, is
Yep.
so wild. And I like, it's obviously not easy to feel like, you're not providing for, monetarily contributing,
Right.
but like, fuck that. Cause like, look at all the shit you do. Like when I quit my job, I was like, how did I do all this stuff and my job?
I have no idea.
I don't even have a child, but how was all of this stuff getting done? I'm like,
Right.
what?
I mean, the answer is it wasn't, and you just weren't paying attention. That's the
Probably,
answer.
yeah, it probably wasn't. But like, so anyways, that was a long digression, but it made, when you said
No.
when you
Right.
said and I was like, I just hope people are having a little bit of grace with themselves and like realizing like you are more than what you do. And I know it's so cliche and people like, I mean, you can find so many essays of people saying this exact same thing, but I just think it's so interesting, especially for women in this case with COVID and realizing that like fucking taking care of a child is a full-time job.
Absolutely.
So like moms that are trying to do that and trying to work or therefore giving up their
Impossible.
like it's like there's so much and like we need to flip the script on how people are talking about who they are and what they do and like obviously like you want to do something that fulfills you and that's like what Ben's supporting you in doing. Like you want to feel fulfilled and excited about what you do because that's when it's great. That's when it's like someone's asking you what you do and you light up and you're like, I do all this cool, you know, like that's what you want to aim for and that shows who you are more than like your fucking LinkedIn profile.
Right. Well, and I think the interesting thing, this kind of like links to what you were saying, is millennials specifically. And I don't know, since we're both older millennials, and I thought we're like bordering on Gen X, but like we're still at the like upper end of a millennial.
Yep.
We basically, not we, you and I, but the millennial generation has glorified like the like work hard mentality, the hustle, where it's like, oh my God, I pulled X number of all-nighters. And like, I mean, in law school, it was just prolific. I can't even imagine. I did this many out, you do a study outline for your exams. Like that's like a huge thing is like making your outline. It's like a big part of your semester.
Right.
And it's like, oh, my outline has this and it's this many pages and yada, yada, yada. I mean, it's a whole thing, like bragging about how hard you're working and how little sleep you're getting and how little time you're spending doing anything but working. And like, I really hope that COVID has changed that mentality for some people because it's, I mean, that's not how you want to live is, by glorifying how hard you're working for a company that does not give a fuck about you.
So I was talking, who knows who I was talking about this with, but the concept, and I think it's probably for Ben too. He probably has unlimited vacation, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Fuck all the way off with that, companies. Yep. Because guess what? When I left Google, they had to pay me out for vacation I didn't take. So it's better for the company to be giving you unlimited vacation because they know in this culture of hustle that we have created and like 100%. Cannot get ourselves fucking out of, that no one takes a goddamn fucking vacation. And like, why are people, this annoys me too, like companies that like, is Ben taking these days off of work between Christmas and New Year's? Is he working?
I mean, to some extent, like, but because he has to.
But he's working, right? They're open technically. Like in order to take the days off between Christmas and New Year's, would he have to take PTO?
Well, they're like PTO like doesn't exist for him. He's the chief of staff to the CEO. So like his boss is off, like he's on vacation. So like Ben is not communicating with him to my knowledge. But he is working in the morning to like catch up. Like that's of his own choice.
Right.
And
so that's my fucking point. It's like, why are companies just not like on these days? I remember when I worked, it was so fucking quiet. No one's doing anything. Like you're staying online to be seen on Slack.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm on Slack. I'm seen. I'm green. Like, I'm not taking the day off. But like, just fucking make it a holiday. Let people take a damn break. Instead, you have to take PTO, which like, doesn't even matter, right? In the end, it's like,
well, Ben, I mean, unlimited vacation is a trick. Like I had unlimited vacation at my job. But I took advantage of it. Before I was let go, I was in Asia for 2 weeks. And I took 2.5 weeks off work.
Okay, yeah, 2.5 weeks though. Like people in Europe, 4 weeks.
Right.
At a time.
Right.
So like that's the thing. It's American culture. It's like, oh, 2.5 weeks. Oh, a year. You take 2.5 weeks off in a year. Like, whoa. Like that.
Right.
Fuck that. It's not a big fucking deal. Right. No, annoying. Anyway, that's my fucking rant.
Yeah. It's so true.
Let's hope people have more. I do think that people working from home, like the really blatant lack of work-life balance when you're working from home all the time, I think makes people realize like, oh wow, I'm really like, I'm not eating lunch. Like I need to take care of myself. And it's like right in front of your face. And so hopefully people start to have a little more balance because it's like not healthy and it's not admirable and no one's fucking impressed. So if you're listening to this and you are one of those people that are like, I didn't sleep.
No one cares.
No one cares. Like, it's not impressive. Like, that's alarming. So check yourself.
Right.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So we had some
It
good
was,
try saying that out loud moments.
yeah,
We did
better
not
than I
have,
like actually thought.
right. We did not have any listener try saying that out loud
Guys,
moments.
where are you?
So email us, try saying that out loud at gmail.com. We'll read
You
them. Maybe you guys can have funny ones. I don't know. Like,
right. They don't
let's hear
have
some funny
ours are
stories.
ours are more serious, obviously. But yeah, if you have anything, like remember my key story from the beginning when I was driving around with my spare key for 6 months? Yeah, because I remember that. Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. Well, can we talk quickly about? And I know we're going to talk for a long time in this episode. I apologize to everyone, but I sent you an essay. I don't think
That I didn't read.
you didn't. Okay, so
I did
normally
not.
when I read things that I know I want to talk about, I don't send them to Jamie at first because I'm fairly confident in my ability to re-articulate what I read. This,
You're not confident?
because it was the darkest hole. So, okay, anyway, I don't know how I heard about it. It's on some
Okay.
weird, I can attach it on our website and people can read it. But
Okay.
it's called Mommy's in Me.
It's a
My Mommy's in Me. And I was like,
is it a blog?
no, it was like, well, I don't think you would, no, it's on jewishcurrents.org. So I don't know what the deal is. I
Okay.
somehow got onto this. I don't know. But it is the best thing I've read in a really long time. It basically is this woman's essay about how she has started down this spiral of Mormon mommy bloggers.
Oh, it's a thing.
And I assumed shit like this happens. I didn't know. This was if I tell you, I want to read, it's a fairly long paragraph, but I feel like it not only gets the point across, but also pulls you into the depths of what this woman, what like the cyclical nature and like the mind fuck that she went through.
So is she an ex-Mormon?
No, she's not. She just somehow like on Instagram she started a Finsta, fake Instagram account,
Yep.
to follow these Mormon mommy bloggers because she was just fascinated. And her boyfriend literally is like, what is this doing for you? And she's basically like, I'm trying to understand America. And she's like, and he's
And
like,
this is like a weird subset of it.
he's like, is this helping you? She's like, I don't yet know what I've learned, but I know that if I turn away from my phone, I'm going to miss something. And I need to know like what the fuck's going on. So you have to read this essay because
Okay.
I literally, my jaw was on the floor and I sent it to a friend and she was like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, I don't know. Okay.
Okay.
I know what it is. I'm going to read this paragraph. It's kind of long, but bear with me.
Can't wait.
Now it's June. There's an amazing new steam mop out and all the mommies have it. Cops are beating protesters unconscious with their riot shields, and the mommies are all posting the same graphic, which reads, I understand that I will never understand. Above a line of fist emojis, one black, one brown, one white. The steam mop is made by Bissell. Soros is paying Antifa to usher in the New World Order, which will persecute Christians and Republicans so Jews and socialists can finally rule the globe. The infrared thermometers that now take our temperatures outside grocery stores or doctor's offices are acclimating us to the idea of having guns aimed at our heads. Marina Abramovic has taught Jay-Z and Lady Gaga and Hillary Clinton and Rihanna to cook and eat the spirits of small white children. The Bissell Steam Mop is only $79.99 on Amazon, and I have to try it. The West Coast wildfires were started by left-wing arsonists. Yoga is satanic. Tarot is satanic. When a celebrity wears a Band-Aid on their left hand, they're telling you they eat children. When a celebrity wears a flower crown, they're telling you they eat children. When a celebrity wears dark eye makeup, they're telling you that they eat children. If I swipe up, the Bissell Steam Mop will be automatically added to my Amazon cart. The Deep State did 9/11. The Rothschilds did 9/11. Jeffrey Epstein did 9/11. On October 17th, Trump will announce JFK Jr. as his new running mate. The Bissell Steam Mop is going to change my life.
What the fuck? Like this is what this is what these Mormon mommy bloggers believe.
Yeah. So I just think that it was just like one of those.
So they're full conspiracy theorists.
Right. And you wonder how these things start. And then you're like, okay, like anti-vaxxers, like whatever, but like this is like next fucking level.
Well, honestly, I bet some of it truly starts with like Russian and Chinese bots. Like
Probably.
they've gotten so smart. Like there's actually a quiz you can take online that Ben has sent me that they give you like 8 like Twitter profiles of people. And they say, is this a bot or is this a real person? And like tell you like ways that you can like spot a bot versus a real person. And I got a couple wrong because like it looked so authentic as a real
No, it
person.
has to be, but like I'm like, so it's just alarming. I mean, like I have
It's a
no
lot.
fucking, yeah,
It's
I
a
have no
lot
fucking words. And it's just I think that paragraph in particular captures the thrash.
of
Like it
like,
literally is like she wrote it. Like you feel like you're scrolling through a fucking Mormon mommy blog. Like you're
right,
like, oh, the Bissell mop. Oh, I need that. Okay. Oh, this water filter. Oh, okay. The Messiah is coming back. Okay. What? Like
right. Oh my God. And now I
five,
like feel like I need to do a deep
yeah.
dive.
Yeah. The mommies are posting infographics about how every COVID death is really a death caused by the rollout of 5G. The mommies are sure you will love this perfect wrist wallet.
Right. Right.
You have
I bet that's exactly what like their Instagram feed looks like.
100%.
Oh my God, that's so insane. Now I like need to do a dive.
I
Well,
like
and
want
there's
to read it again, but I'm like afraid to because I'm like, this stuff sounds so insane to me, but people believe it.
right. Well, and the other thing is I've followed some TikTokers and YouTubers that left the Mormon church and like quote unquote like have exposed all of these things. And it is a wild ride. Like,
So here's the thing though, and it's like this is where I almost feel like the essay's a little bit unfair. Like obviously mommy blogging is a thing, period. I
right.
don't know that like this level of like conspiracy theorism is only in Mormon mommy bloggers. Like like should we attribute this insanity just to Mormon? No, I don't believe that.
Probably not. Right.
Because
Right.
I don't know. Anyways.
Well, there is like Mormon mommy blogging is like a very
I
like
think it's
niche
like a big
subset for sure.
and it's
Like it
really a thing, which I
well,
didn't realize.
they're all marrying super young and having a lot of kids and
Right.
a lot of them aren't working. So like it's just like this community and they are also extremely prevalent in the MLM community.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
if it is pretty rare that you're going to find a mom in Salt Lake City that is not doing some MLM. Like name whatever one you want, but it would be pretty rare just because like that's like what they're doing with their time. And like that's also sort of like their gig, right? Like you're trying to convert people to Mormonism, you're trying to get people to sign up for an MLM. It's like
Yep.
it's all kind of in the same
So
basket.
I don't know. That was that.
I need to
One
investigate.
of the best things I've read that blew my fucking mind.
Are you going to get the Bissell mop?
No, it's so alarming. Literally, and it ends. I should actually read you like the last. She goes, when my boyfriend asks me what exactly the mommies are teaching me about America, I don't have a ready answer. But I found something and I stared at it hard and often. The lesson has to be somewhere I haven't yet looked. If I put my phone down, I'm afraid I'm going to miss it.
Yeah, because it's all the time. It's constant.
It's just fucking wild.
It is.
So,
I need to read the whole thing.
I'm
Is it
gonna
long?
share. Yeah, it's a good. I mean, it's not. I mean, I read it pretty quickly. No, it's not like. It's like
It's not like a long form essay.
not super long. I mean, it's like a few scrolls down, but not bad.
Okay, cool.
I will also share it on my Twitter, and I'll put it on our website.
Excellent.
It's so fucking gnarly.
I cannot wait. Speaking of putting things on our website, are you ready for the Enneagram Type 9 deep
Type
dive?
9. I'm glad we're doing the 9s.
Yeah, so we're alternating back and forth. So 1, 9, 2, 8, 3, 7, so that we're not just going in a straight number order and making people feel left out.
Right.
Because that's really either like there's Enneagram websites that go from 9 to 1 or they go from 1 to 9. And so if you're at the end,
hop
like
around.
Yeah. So we're basically going to hop around. So if you remember from the Enneagram deep dive for type 1, I like sort of pulled these like fun memes and like, what so you kind of, what you see about your type on the internet. So for type 9's bingo, like, all these little squares that you can check off if you feel like you're one of these. not really an introvert, but kind of. Netflix and chill, cozy AF, procrastination, naps, quietly stubborn, loves being home. I'm fine with whatever, and I feel like all the types. So like a pretty chill person. This is my best friend is a 9. My best friend from home is a 9.
Like a non-confrontational, like I'm just go with
Very
the flow.
non-confrontational. Yeah. And the other funny one was how 9s travel by plane. And this was like her to a T. So I was like, oh, this is right. I have downloaded 8 movies and 16 audiobooks so I can smile blindly at my seatmates while not hearing them over my headphones. Yes, I'm wearing my house shoes on this plane. I'm about to take a fucking nap. Am I not? I thought that was so good.
Which I also love the subtle shade of like, I don't want to fucking talk to the people next to me on the plane. I'm
at all
fucking headphones on and just, yeah.
Right.
I love that. I love that so much.
There's probably, I don't think I've met a 9 that I don't like, to be perfectly honest. Like they're just, if you're actually a 9, not that you just like think you're a 9, if you're actually one, you're probably great.
Right. Like dry sense of humor. I get from all that maybe it's like kind of a.
Yep. So the main name for a 9 is the peacemaker, but there are other ones: the healer, the comforter, the secret guru, the wallflower, the optimist, the utopian, and the reconciler. I don't know how common those other ones are, but mainly the peacemaker is what is associated with 9s. They're easygoing, receptive, agreeable, and complacent, and a couple of
complacent.
Just like not trying to rock the boat. I know, but
why is complacent like kind of, I feel like it carries a negative connotation.
It does. Yeah, I hear that.
But I don't think any.
There were 2 quotes that I pulled from Millenniagram about 9s that were amazing. 9s emotional landscapes are the lazy rivers at the water park. And 9s eat repressed resentment for breakfast. And I posted that when I posted my review of Millenniagram, and the 9s that commented were like, oh my God, these couldn't be more true.
The lazy river, they're emotional. It's a lazy river. Oh my God.
Right. Yeah. Amazing. Some other characteristics of 9s is they are accepting, trusting, and stable. They're usually creative, but they can also be too willing to go along with others to keep the peace. Like they'll sometimes to a fault go along with the flow instead of like speaking up about something. They want everything to go smoothly and without conflict. But because of that, they'll minimize anything that's upsetting them instead of talking about it. Their basic fear is of loss and separation, and their basic desire is to have inner stability and peace of mind. And their unconscious childhood message is it's not okay to assert yourself.
Oh.
I know the unconscious childhood message. Yeah, I know it's really, it messes with me.
So my niece will not be a 9. I'm just going to do that right now. She's not a 9 asserting herself.
So yeah, not a 9. The key motivations of 9s are to create harmony in their environment, avoid conflicts and tension, to preserve things as they are, and to resist whatever would upset or disturb the status quo. And remember how we talked about the triads, how we have the feeling, the thinking, and the gut. Mm-hmm. So 9 is in the gut as well as 1. So they're in the gut. 9 is in the gut with 8 and 1, which focuses on ego boundaries. We talked about this in the type 1. So how 1s direct their energy inward against their internal impulses, and 8s direct it outward against their environment. 9s do both. They project their energy against inward and outward threats. Any of the numbers in like the middle of their triad are going to project energy both ways. Okay. So, and these are things that we only briefly touched on. And I'm going to do the same here. It's like too much to really get into. But the social style and coping styles of a 9. So the social style is the withdrawn social style, which they share with 4 and 5. They respond to stress by moving away from engagement with the world and into an inner space. And they withdraw to get what they want. And the reason that 9s withdraw is to achieve autonomy. So like each type that is withdrawing for a specific reason, and 9s is to get autonomy. Their coping style is called the positive outlook coping style, which they share with 2s and 7s. So our coping style. They respond to conflict by adopting a positive attitude on the situation and want to emphasize the uplifting aspects of life and look at the bright side. That is not actually my coping style, which I find interesting. I like probably have the coping style of whatever the 8s is, and I like lose my shit. So that is not my coping style.
I don't know that I would say like I'm like, what? Well, I guess I do. Yeah, I do. I guess see the positive. I am a conflict avoider.
You are.
Yeah, like I don't like conflict. I don't like it. Don't like confrontation. Not my vibe. Except if I'm like really, I like know that what I stand for is like 100%
Really
right.
right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have to be like really right in order to like really get in someone's face about it. Otherwise, I'm
That
like,
makes
let's just
sense.
avoid conflict all entirely.
Right. That makes sense. So this is like the overview on the Enneagram Institute website. It's a lot of stuff that I already mentioned, but they can have basically the reason that 9 sometimes feels like all the types is because they kind of pull from all the types. That's why they're at the top of the circle. So it says they can have the strength of the 8s, the sense of fun and adventure of 7s, the dutifulness of 6s, intellectualism of 5s, creativity of 4s, attractiveness of 3s, generosity of 2s, and the idealism of 1s. So like, it's like kind of cool to be a 9. You kind of are, a jack of all trades.
Yeah, that's
yeah. Being an individual who must assert herself against others is terrifying to 9s. And they respond to pain and suffering by attempting to live in a state of premature peace. And more than any other type, 9s have the tendency to run away from their problems. So like they're really going all out to avoid a confrontation or disturbing the status quo.
It's interesting because I feel like sometimes that's how people describe 7s, where they're like throwing themselves into like consumerism or experiences or like whatever it is to avoid a problem. So it's interesting that it's like more than any other type, 9s do that.
Right. Well, and theirs is more like they're not going to throw themselves into anything. They're just going to like shut down and be in themselves.
Like internal, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So the wings of 9 are 9 wing 8, which is the referee, and 9 wing 1, which is the dreamer. So 9 wing 8s enjoy socializing and good times, and they are more sociable than 9 wing 1s. They are practical, typically concerned with their immediate needs. And the Millenniagram quote about 9 wing 8s is that they are the eye of the fucking hurricane, which I thought was great. Because like 8s are really intense, but 9s are really chill. So if you have a 9 wing 8, like they can kind of get to that point, but like it's, the center of the storm.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Where there's a calm before the rest of the fucking storm happens.
Right. So some 9 wing 8s are Ronald Reagan, Gerald Ford, and Whoopi Goldberg.
Okay.
Some interesting 9 wing 8s.
Whoopi definitely strikes me as a 9. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. And then so 9 wing 1 is the dreamer. They display as more anxious and perfectionistic, which obviously pulls from the 1. They're concerned with creating the perfect home space and staying there. They are less adventurous and more reserved and uninterested in drawing attention, and they adhere to a strict moral code. Some examples are Abraham Lincoln, Queen Elizabeth II, and Walt Disney. Some interesting people.
No, and I take it back about Whoopi though, because now that I'm thinking, I'm like, does Whoopi avoid confrontation? No,
but she's a 9 wing 8, so like
right, she's got fire in her.
Yep,
okay, got it.
Yep.
All right.
And there are more examples I have at the end that the Enneagram Institute wasn't sure of their wing, but that are type 9s that are really good also. So the instinctual variants, they stay the same. The names are the same for each one, the self-preservation, social, and sexual. In 9s, the self-preservation is the comfort seeker. They seek physical comfort, appreciate routines. They are quintessential nesters. Like they just like want to be in their space. They want more alone time than the other subtypes. They are actually more inclined to a lavish lifestyle. Like in their home, they're more inclined to like set it up to be extremely nice. Mm-hmm. They deal with anxiety by getting involved with busy work and smaller projects. And unhealthy self-preservation 9s have a tendency toward addiction, which I thought was interesting because that's a 7 trait also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the name for the social type 9 is one happy family. They prioritize the group's needs and have a deep desire to belong to the group. They are very invested in their immediate family and are more outgoing and energetic than the other type 9s. They can be a workaholic and give of themselves unconditionally. And unhealthy social 9s can alienate people with displays of indignant anger. I was like, oh, interesting.
All right.
And the sexual type 9 is labeled the merging type, and they tend to find partners who are more expressive than them, and they slowly become that person's greatest sidekick. They can lack a sense of structure, and they are the least assertive of the 3 9. So they are the most conflict avoidant of the three
Okay.
types. They may neglect their own needs while focusing on others, and unhealthy sexual 9s become depressed due to a lack of core self. They end up in a highly dependent relationship or floundering on their own, waiting for one. So if you're unhealthy and you're, that kind of type
Interesting.
9,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting, especially when you think about if you know someone that's a type 9 and kind of like placing them where they are. Like I have a friend that's a type 9 who is like a sexual type 9, but like is not in an unhealthy relationship and is not like unhealthily like bound to his wife.
Right.
Like,
Right.
but like he is like her greatest sidekick. Like he, that's just like how he is as a person.
Yeah, their dynamic is
Yeah.
exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Interesting.
But like I can see how it would be extremely unhealthy.
Detrimental, right? If you can't, yeah.
Right. So I'm not going to go into levels 1 through 9 of each type, but basically, like we talked about before, 1 through 3 is the high functioning aspects of the type. 4 through 6 are the normal behaviors, and unhealthy is 7 through 9, and that is more like the deeply dysfunctional manifestation where like you get into like more addiction and like actual really big issues, as opposed to just like being your average person that isn't like that great of a person.
Right.
But that'll be on the document if anyone wants to read that. And then everyone's favorite, where the types go into stress and health.
Mm-hmm.
So in stress, complacent 9s suddenly become anxious and worried at 6. They invest themselves in things that they believe will give them more security and stability, and they become highly reactive to the demands of others, and that makes them more passive aggressive and defensive. So those are all sort of like 6's bad qualities. And then in health, slothful, self-neglecting 9s become more self-developing and energetic like healthy 3s. They recognize that they are worth their own time and energy, and they work at developing themselves and putting themselves out into the world, letting them know what they have to offer. So it's always so interesting to me to see how every type pulls from a different type. The
Yeah.
3 6 9 triad, like it's not always like 2, 5, and 8 aren't like always the same. Like 8, it goes to 2 and stress, and 5 and health. But like it's not like 2 is related to 8 and 5. 2 is actually related to 8 and 4. So like it doesn't exactly
Right.
meet up like that, but
Right.
3 6 9 it does. So like
Interesting.
those 3 only
Are tied at the hip.
Yep. So
That's
I always find that very interesting. And so some other examples of type 9s that no one was really sure of their wings. Barack Obama is a 9. And so like I thought that was interesting. He's like everyone like is pretty confident that he's a 9. I wonder about his wing. Like I wonder if he is more of like the one where it's like the perfectionist or whatever, or if he's more like
I feel like an 8. I feel like he's got
Eye of the
some,
storm.
like, I feel like the way you described it, I imagine a 9-wing 1 being a little bit more in the background and like wanting to kind of be, like a little bit in the detail. I don't know. I just see like, I don't think a 9-wing 1 would be like, put me on camera. Like
that's
I am
probably
so, like I'm so, I don't know.
Well, to me, it was hard to imagine a president as a 9, but there's so many. It's Barack Obama, the Queen Elizabeth, not a president, but like a world leader, Abraham Lincoln, Ronald Reagan, George
Queen Elizabeth
W.
makes so much sense after watching The Crown.
The Crown,
I know is not like, but I feel like it's like an interesting way for me to understand that history and her. And
right.
That makes sense.
Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, John F. Kennedy. Those are all.
If you think about a successful president, you kind of have to be like, you have to, like you said, they kind of pull from all of the other types. And so it's like, in that way, like in order to get anything done as a president, like you need to be able to be empathetic to like what other people are going through and how they're thinking and kind of be a chameleon a little bit. So
right. Yeah, but I thought that was so interesting.
Really interesting.
And then some other 9s, like I said, Walt Disney, Jim Henson of the Muppets, Janet Jackson, George Lucas, Morgan Freeman, and Zooey Deschanel are some other 9s.
Oh, interesting. Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. I know.
His
Morgan Freeman
voice.
does the voiceovers at the Birmingham, Alabama airport.
Stop.
Yeah, he's like,
Stop it right now. You know
that's
that? Do
fucking
you know
wild.
that like Family Guy episode where he has like a soundtrack when he walks?
No.
Do you, I don't remember what the episode was. I honestly did not watch a lot of Family Guy, but I like happen to remember this episode very clearly. He like is like, I want like a soundtrack for like my day, like almost like a jingle as he's
Yeah,
walking.
okay.
And it makes me think, I'm like, if I had someone narrate my life, it would be
Be
Morgan
Morgan
Freeman.
Freeman.
100.
Where it's like where he's like the narrator and it was like, oh, I really want that. She did not want that. Like or
She
whatever.
in fact did not want that.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's exactly what I
She
would.
didn't know what she wanted. She
Right.
was on
But
a
yeah,
personal journey. Like it would be
he
deep.
does like the announcements that are like, don't leave your bag unattended. And like, yeah, I have no idea why.
Immediately you
And
listen. You're like,
right,
okay, Morgan Freeman. Yeah, not
right. I
gonna leave
will
that bag unattended.
absolutely. So that's the type 9. I like tried to like condense it a little bit so you weren't listening to Enneagram for a half an hour, but I do have the document and
We'll
we'll
share
upload it
it.
to the site. So if you're a type 9, or even if you're not, you can kind of go read what I think are the
Yeah.
most important
It's kind
aspects
of
of
fun to listen to because I like not many family members of mine have like taken this test. So it
right.
kind of like self-diagnosing in my head.
Oh yeah, it's so and I have enough that I know now so like it gives me like a picture. I actually don't know very many 8s, so 8s is actually the hardest for me to picture. But it's where I go in stress, so like I have some sort of idea.
So can we talk about my favorite segment? What are you watching?
You know, I'm like not a big TV watcher, but like since the I don't know, the last couple months, we've been watching more TV. We started The Flight Attendant 2 days ago.
And
She's so dumb. She's so dumb.
so and you're not, so
We're
let's
halfway
talk.
through.
Yes, let's talk when you've gone through the season.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
I find it was so jarring to me, and I didn't watch Big Bang Theory. It's Kaylee Cuoco is the
Right.
actress in this for people who don't know. So Kaylee Cuoco plays a flight attendant who like wakes up in a hotel room with a dead guy next to her, and it's this whole like the culmination of that.
Figuring it out, yeah.
And it was very, even though I never watched Big Bang Theory, I like her out of the sitcom context was a little jarring for me, and so I didn't know how I felt right away. So like, let's talk when you're done, because I'm curious what you think at the end.
Mostly so far, like she's everything she's doing to me. Ben and I look at each other. I'm like, how fucking stupid can you be? That's that's where I'm at.
I know it's hard to watch.
Well, and I'm wondering, so it doesn't say on HBO, is it a limited series? Like it has to be, right? Like
I don't know, and I don't want to ruin it for you, but
don't.
The way it could go either way with the ending.
Okay.
I think
it like didn't say, I don't think that, like, you know how The Undoing said it was a limited series. Like I don't think it said that. So like,
because how many episodes is it? Is it
limited
8. When it's like, maybe limited is like when it's 5 episodes.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It's like a truncated season, because I think that The Undoing was.
So we watched that, or we're watching that. I'm going to be watching Bridgerton after I finish rewatching Downton Abbey. I've decided I really wanted to rewatch it. I've only watched it, I think maybe once or twice all the way through.
Okay.
And I just love it. It's just like
I love a period piece. Downton Abbey
transports you to another time, and it's just like it's so. Especially there is something, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but there was an article that I read that is like, if you have like pretty intense anxiety, which like I definitely do, that's the reason you enjoy rewatching your comfort TV show so much, is because it is like a comforting presence in the background of your life. Like we'd put on 30 Rock or Veep or something that we've both loved and watched, and it's just like a calming thing to just have on, and like what's coming, and there's no anxiety behind like whatever's gonna happen.
That's true. See, for me, I never rewatch. I do love the, like what you said, it transports you, Downton Abbey, to like a totally different time, and I love the escapism that it provides. So
you don't rewatch anything? You've never rewatched?
Not really. I mean, I think like I rewatched Gossip Girl like a couple years ago, because I was
really
like, fuck it. Yeah,
they're doing a remake.
Yes, so fun. But like the shows like that, like it would be funny, for instance, to watch One Tree Hill, because I loved that in high school. So it'd be funny to watch that, but like would I actually, I don't know. Like Alex and I are very much like new experiences, new things. Like, let's go.
Yeah. We are big TV rewatchers. I mean, we've seen 30 Rock like, I don't know, 10
Yeah.
times.
So like, yeah, I think I would, I don't know. I don't know why I don't do it more often. I think it's because Alex probably is like, let's find something new. I hardly have time by myself in front of the TV. And then
Yeah, that's fair.
when I do, I'm watching fucking Housewives, like cranking out stupid ass TV. But okay,
Yeah.
let's
So,
talk
I mean,
about
it's sort of the same thing, right?
Yes, right. It's like mindless, easy, like very like the anxiety that I would get from watching that is like nothing applicable to my real life. Like
Right.
those women don't live in a real world.
Right.
Anyway, can we talk about Bridgerton? Because
Yeah,
I
I'm
learned
pumped.
that there are books. It's basically
Yeah. I had no idea that there were books.
So I wonder if we should read them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Do you want to read the books and then watch
Well,
the show and then like
let's look up and see if they're supposed to be good.
Bridgerton. Okay, I'm looking.
Is it a series?
Yes. And normally, that's what I said. We were in a group chat. Jamie blacks out when I say things. I sent you. I was like, has anyone read these? I normally don't go for series, but
I have no recollection of you
historical
saying that,
romance novels.
That sounds interesting. Well, like clearly from the preview, that's like what it is. It's like the preview is her like faking a relationship with this guy to get out of getting married to somebody else. I think.
Okay, so set between 1813 and 1827, the Bridgerton series is a collection of 8 novels featuring one of the 8 children of the late Viscount Bridgerton. So it all follows one kid.
So no, I'm not reading 8 of them. That's not happening.
Why not? How
about you read the 8 and I'll watch the show?
But okay, this, I wish I could show okay, I'm gonna send you this link. Can you open it on your computer? Yeah. Because talk about a fucking book I would never pick up. Like, look at the covers. This is just not World's vibe.
Oh, I would never pick this up.
So maybe
in a million years.
So maybe we just watch the show. Because
there's so many.
Well, they also have like these novellas. And
holy. I'm such a snob when it comes to covers, like the biggest snob. Like literally, this could be the greatest story in the world, and they show me this cover, and I'm like, is it though? Because they put this shit cover on it. So I'm pumped about it, but this makes it sound like it's going to be like a very long series, that it could be like 8 seasons, because there's
I'm going to be so disappointed if it's not like as good as Downton Abbey, because I'm going to put them in the same wheelhouse. So I'm watching, not that you asked, but I feel very passionate about it. And I'm very excited.
I haven't asked. You didn't give me a chance to ask. Excuse you. What are you watching?
A show on Sundance Channel, which Alex and I had to specially buy or like get on our YouTube TV subscription. It's called The Bureau. And
is this the French one?
And there are 5 seasons. Which
that's a lot.
We didn't know going in. And so now that it's like really good, we're super into it. We're on season 3, like just started season 3. And it's like Le Bureau means the office in French.
Yeah.
But it's like French FBI, like intelligence.
Okay.
It's like a spy.
But it's entirely in subtitles. You're leaving out a huge part of it.
Entirely in subtitles. But can I tell you the magic of this? Is when you have a husband who chooses to do everything but really truly watch a show with you. He's like, yeah, we're watching it. And he's like working or doing whatever. He has to watch this show.
See, I'm Alex in this situation.
And he likes it. He's actually he's not bitter about it. He really likes it.
Because he's taking a break and he's actually watching something.
And we're reading, and you have to and also it's making me want to do Duolingo again, because I took French in high school and a little bit in college. And I'm like, I want to
that I'm a French person also. I did. In my middle school, the only language
that's offered cool. You did a language in middle school.
It was a K-8 private school. And then in 7th and 8th grade, the only option was French. So I had taken 2 years of French in 7th and 8th grade. So I was like, well, I'm going to continue it obviously in high school.
Yeah.
So I took 3 years in high school. And then my senior year, instead of taking AP French, I decided I wanted a blow off class and took Spanish 1 with all the freshmen. And one of my friends and I both did it. And then I took 4 semesters in college, and literally
4 semesters. I did 2 semesters in college only.
Literally I mean, I can still do, I'm sure, like what you can do. Like I can read it much better than I can write it or speak it.
Like
But
I can
like,
figure it out. They speak so quickly. So my brother-in-law is from Belgium, but he speaks French, his whole family.
right,
So when I'm around their family, it's like I'm trying to figure out like what are they saying because they all speak in French or they do like a jumble, they do like a Spanglish but a French
right,
English.
right.
And anyways, it's kind of motivating me to like and my niece is going to French English school where they do some days
Oh,
French,
that's
some
so
days English. So I'm
cool.
like, Isla, should I go to school with you and like learn rouge, gris? I'm
Well,
like,
like
what is
those are the things I remember. Like,
French aside, this show is like really good. If you're into kind of like spy.
okay, so are you reading anything? What's going on with your reading schedule?
I just panic texted a friend about this book that I just finished
Okay.
because it's one of those books like I need to speak with someone who's read it because I'm like, I need to like there was a moment where I was like, is it like a split personality character situation? Like it's about sisters, but like, are there
Mhm.
two sisters? Like total
Do
mind
you
fuck.
know the answer now?
I think there were two. I think it was, but it was like there were times in this novel where I was like, what is happening?
Are you going to say the name of the book?
It's called Sisters by Daisy
Oh,
Johnson. And
okay.
I posted today on Instagram. So if anyone's on Instagram, well, now it's going to be
Lit
next
with
week.
Low.
Yeah, Lit with Low. Check out, it's a post, Clarence is in it. Comment in the comments if you fucking read it or DM me because I need to speak with someone about it.
Would I like it?
Um, I don't know. Like, it's one of those novels where I don't know how I felt about it.
So it's
Like,
hard for you to say if I would like it.
Unfortunately, which a lot of people find annoying, I like books that I can't figure out because I'm like,
Oh yeah, I find that annoying.
I want to figure them out. I want to know. And it challenged me in that way. And I like to be challenged. It was definitely pretty dark. Not like
It seems to be your jam recently.
Yeah, it's totally a literary fiction, like
Mm,
character study, not much plot. So that's what makes me think you maybe wouldn't like it. But
yeah, not my jam.
it's there's a portion in it where the perspective changes and it's the mom. And she, I think, has just like a really like I've never dealt with depressive episodes, but knowing people who have, I think that she articulates depression and like what that feels like in a really compelling way, in a really
That is
interesting,
really
like
interesting.
very raw, like you feel like even as someone who like you I don't know, you just felt it. Like she's a very
Yeah.
talented writer. I think she was the youngest, the author. I think her first novel she wrote was nominated for the Booker Prize, and she was like the youngest at the time to be nominated. um,
Wow.
so I think she's a really brilliant young writer. And I really, the book is short, like it's like that's what you would like about it. It was kind of quick,
Uh-huh.
but I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I was like, someone please talk to me about this
You know
book.
what's so interesting that you said something about the depression thing? I have you ever seen Euphoria on HBO?
No.
So it's the one that's starring Zendaya. I said
Mm-hmm.
that wrong.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And she has a lot of like mental health issues. And there's like a episode where she is like wildly depressed. And I think her acting in that was like one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. Just like displaying how difficult it is for someone to like get out of bed when they're depressed and like why she wouldn't like get up to go shower or use the bath. Like it was like a wild thing to just see on television and be like, this is what it's like. So
And
I
even in
get
this
that.
book, yeah, and in this book, she kind of talks a little bit like everything's a little bit of an illusion. Like nothing's
Right.
that outright in this book, but she basically kind of talks about like the feeling of being medicated also, which I find like very interesting because I have a friend going through that right now, where you're just like, as you start an antidepressant, like how your butt, like it's such a so. I don't know. I really appreciate it. I mean, I think this writer's super talented. So I'm just kind of like, I'm dying to have a conversation about it with someone because
You just need all the answers
I need
now.
all the answers. I need to know what people thought. But in terms of what
I'm
I'm gonna,
not the person.
you are not the person. I don't
No.
know what I'm gonna read next. I need to get through a ton of nonfiction, so I'm wondering if I like
My
break off
cart
and
is
do
so
another.
overwhelming. We say this every episode, but my cart is so fucking overwhelming. One of my big goals for 2021 is going to be to like do a lot of now it's not even like I mean it is backlist now that it'll be 2021, but like backlist books and be really intentional about what I'm purchasing and not just like willy-nilly purchasing things because like I saw it on the internet, which
I
is
know.
what I did all
I
year. It
know.
was like,
I
oh,
know.
it's 2020, I can buy whatever book I want, like it's fine. And now I just
Totally.
have an ungodly amount of unread books.
It's unbelievable, and I'm very overwhelmed by it. But I think what I'm gonna do, because I feel like 2021, the first book you pick, right? Like the first book in the new year, like what is that gonna be? I think
Right.
I'm gonna read a nonfiction that hopefully will like inspire wellness in me. I'm gonna read Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, and I follow his
Okay.
podcast. And he's like a young guy, but he like was a monk for a time. And I love his podcast. He like interviews the
Interesting.
coolest people, like, but he interviews like Kristen Bell and like cool. But he's like a very enlightened human. Like I just feel like so I'm
Right.
very
Okay.
excited about his book. And I feel like if I start my 2021 out with like something kind of positive and like reinforcing good habits, like maybe the rest of my year will. Anyways, what are you reading? Are you like planning your first book of
And
2021?
now you just made me really like think. So I was supposed to read, well, I just finished my last book of the year, is going to be The Last Flight by Julie Clark. It was when I was still subscribed to Book of the Month. It was like one of those picks. It's a thriller. It was like a great little palate cleanser. I really liked it.
Good.
And I think like I mean, I'm probably going to start another book, but like I imagine that's going to be the last book I finish this year. So I rounded out the year at 88, which is insane.
So
Um,
crazy.
I always set my goal at 52, which is a book a week, it's just because I think that that's the most realistic. And last year I read 56 and everyone was like, "Oh, are you going to up your goal?" And I was like, "No, like I started a new job. Like I think like, I need to keep it at 52." And then fucking COVID happened. So it went to 88. I don't imagine it's going to be anywhere near that next year. So like I'm keeping it
No.
again at 52 and just like trying to be
I think
intentional.
I set mine. So I just looked now that you mentioned that. I set my goal to 65 and I
And
did
I'm sure
80 and I
you
read 84.
oh, we were so close.
Exceeded my reading goal by 19 books. But yeah, I think to your point, like I like to know how many books I read, but I don't like setting these like arbitrary goals and I think it was what I said in 2020 too. Like when the new year started, I was like, I'm not going to read for anyone else. I'm going to like read what I want to read. If I'm not liking something, I'm going to DNF it, do
Yep.
not finish and like not care and like not feel bad. And I think that now I'm like same idea, but also spend more time with the book. Like I don't want to have feel like the
Rush.
pressure of like rushing through a book just to rush through a book. So
Right.
I think that's kind of along the lines of what you're saying in terms of not reading as much next year, maybe.
So to answer your question, I don't know what I'm going to read first because now I'm like, it needs to be like, you're right. I kind of
Did
feel
I
like it's
stress you
important.
out? Sorry. I put a
You didn't
lot of
stress me out,
pressure
but
unnecessarily.
my thought was because I was supposed to read this in December was anxious people, and I'm like, fuck if I read
No,
that
that's a
book.
good one though. No, that's a good one because
Is it?
so I think the vibe of that, like you're laughing, it's serious, but like you're finding joy and you're still like having all of it's very human. The way Frederick Bachman writes, he just like writes human beings so well. Like I think that's a good choice.
Cool. Well, then that will be my first book probably, just because I hate that I like didn't read it in 2020 when I was supposed to. So I'm like, okay, just get it off my list and
Yeah,
start the
I
new
hope you
year.
like it. I think you'll like it. I really enjoy it.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think there's anyone that I've read that or seen that has been like, this is awful. It's either been
no,
like, I liked it or I loved it.
right. Yeah,
It's
and
pretty much what I've
there were
seen.
some laughs in there, which I think is always fun.
Yes. Okay, cool. Well, guys,
This is it.
this is it. We're recording in 2020, but you'll be hearing this in the new year, which we fucking did it. We did it.
We did
We got through it. So welcome to 2021, and hopefully you will be hearing us twice a week for the foreseeable future, or twice a week. Jesus Christ,
Can you
twice a
fucking
month.
imagine? Jesus fucking
Twice a
Christ.
month for the foreseeable future. This first and third Wednesdays of the month. Look out for your weekly try saying that out loud dose.
Yes. Thanks for listening, and until next time.
Try saying that out loud. Bye.